here with Assemblyman Ting. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
It's great to be here.
So I wanted to ask you, first of all, you were city assessor for many years, and now you're a legislator in Sacramento. Tell us about the transition and what you've learned.
It's been so great because for the longest time I was so focused on a particular job and on a particular issue. So going to Sacramento gives me a lot of opportunity to work on issues that I love and I care about, whether it's education, urban agriculture, clean energy, civil rights. It's been just really freeing, frankly.
Well, what about having to work with people across the aisle, people who aren't Democrats from time to time? How's that been for you, going from a department head to being one of many? Well,
it's so interesting. In San Francisco, our differences are so small, yet our fights tend to be very personal. Up there, we have a much wider variety of differences. I have, Tom Mamiano, all the way to Tim Donnelly, who's running for governor, who's a Tea Party person and a Minuteman. So it's very interesting when you really have issue policy differences. And what we find most often is 60 to 70% of our bills actually receive bipartisan support or really have a huge amount of support from the overwhelming assembly. It's really a couple issues that we end up very much debating, whether it's social services, education, high-speed rail's a hot button issue. So those are issues that we have a lot more give and take on.
Now, do they give you some sort of boot camp? I mean, I know that the rules are really tricky from time to time and learning the procedures and the whole process. Do they send you to, a 2-day seminar, or how does that work?
They did. That was actually one of the fun things. So my class, I think, is the largest incoming class in the last 50 years, since the 1960s. We have over 40 new members in the class, so over half the assembly is new. So we actually spent the first couple weeks, it was actually a couple weeks of orientation where they went through all the rules, all the ethics issues, all the procedural issues, whether it's legislative, how you do this, hiring staff, HR issues. Many people had never been a manager, so I'd actually been an executive, so I was used to HR rules, but for many people, they never really hired anybody before. So this is a first for many folks.
Interesting. So I understand you're working very closely on the City College issue here in San Francisco. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
We just passed a concurrent resolution with the Senate. So Senator Leno carried that, me and Tom Mamiano carried it here in the Assembly. And what we did is we really asked the Accreditation Commission, the ACCJC, to give City College a little more time. There's a deadline coming up of July 31st, and if City College is not in compliance, then they could actually pull the plug on accreditation, which would really mean closing the college. You'd have 80,000 students really put on the street with no real viable option. The college has completed about 95% of the work that they set out to do, which they believe puts them into compliance. So it seems a little odd that you would pull the plug when you only have about 5% of the way to shut the school down and to really put 80,000 kids on the street.
Now, does the Accreditation Committee believe that the school is 95% in compliance, or is there a dispute about the extent to which the school has been able to get itself into compliance?
It's a great question. Unfortunately, the Accreditation Commission hasn't even visited the college in over a year and a half. So they're working on information that's a year and a half old. They obviously have been getting updates, but for whatever reason, they've refused to even send any more people out to really understand where the progress is. So I don't know if there's a dispute so much as a lack of information on their part where they really don't even know what is going on at the college.
Now, what do you say to people who say, you know what, the City College has had plenty of time to get it together. At some point, we've got to pull the plug, or else the accreditation means nothing if it doesn't actually ever, if it never goes into effect.
It's a great point, and I think that's what some people have said. There's only been one time where accreditation has been pulled, and that was with Compton College down in the Southern California area, and that was really a serious issue where there was malfeasance. If you look at the report of what City College really needs to do, the teaching and the pedagogy are excellent. They were actually not cited for any of those. All those were fine. It was really around the financial management. And if we shut down every single government agency that had fiscal management issues, we wouldn't have much of a government, would we? So it's so interesting to see, if that was the case with Muni or any of our departments, we really would have a challenge running government in general. Anytime you have an audit, we have audits of government agencies all the time. Anytime you'd have an audit, usually you have a list of things to improve, and you're constantly working to improve them. We don't shut the agency down. We don't say, hey, Muni, you're having these issues, we're going to shut you down and bring in some other agency. That doesn't really work.
Well, I think some people would would probably like for that to be the case. Just one final question before we go. Leland Yee, as you're in Sacramento, it's in the air, all of these scandals. Do you think that he should resign his position?
You know, for me, I think that all three of them should really step down. There's no question. The Senate has taken action in terms of suspending them, but really, in order for us to continue to move on, we have three senators who frankly put a cloud over the legislature, and really they should be moving on with their careers.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.